Well, welcome everybody to today's D2D Spotlight. And today we're chatting with Nick Thacker, my good friend, and he's also a fantastic author, as well as the co-founder of Author Email. Welcome, Nick Thacker. Thanks for hanging out with us on D2D Spotlight, man.
Happy to be here as always, man.
It feels like forever since I talked to you 3 minutes ago.
Was it that long ago? I think it was like a minute and a half, maybe.
Nick and I have had an ongoing bromance since around 2020, what?
That'd be 2014, I think.
2014.
So the year before my kid was born, yeah.
I paid Nick $200 to be my friend.
And in today's dollars, that's like $203.
That's like with depreciation. Actually, no, in today's dollars, the COVID era dollars, it's like $110.
That's probably true. Yeah, that's unfortunately true.
So, well, thanks for hanging out with us, man. I know you got a ton of stuff going on. I know things are busy on your side. Yeah, you just redid a cover for your latest book. I'm gonna pop it up.
You ready? Do it. Yeah, like 10 minutes ago, I just finished that.
Look at that, the Mendel paradox, or is it Mendel paradox? How do you say it?
I don't.
And thus avoiding that entire tar trap.
I'd rather be silent than incorrect.
Yes, there you go. All right, that's a great looking cover, man. Are you and that is available, of course, on Amazon.
It's up for pre-order right now. The older cover is, you can see the difference between the. Hey, thanks, Sam Nash. She loved it. I had to redo the cover anyway because I just got a blurb from His Holiness Steve Barry, sort of a legend in the genre.
Yeah.
So I threw that up there and thought, you know what? While I'm at it, I got a half an hour before Kevin is gonna ping me, so I can maybe redesign this thing.
So let's pimp this brother out. What was that? Let me pop back in there. Can I see the quote? Riveting imagined world. Steve Barry, spelled with 3 R's.
Spelled with 3 R's. That's right.
So there's so much that you and I can talk about that I think is going to be beneficial to authors. I can't wait. I mean, you and I used to do a podcast together and do this exact thing, which I kind of miss. We might have to revive that somehow.
It was the Self-Publishing Answers podcast, and we gave everybody all the ansers. So
we gave you all the answers.
No reason to do a podcast anymore.
If you're not passing the test at this point, you have no excuse. Want to welcome everybody, by the way, who's tuning in from both Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for being a part of this. We're going to get to everybody's questions, so be sure to ask some questions in the last 15 minutes of the show. And if I find the little thing, there we go. In the last 15 minutes of the spotlight, we will take all your questions and answer them live. So ask anything you want and get inspired by what we say here.
Try to stump us, but you can't stump us.
You stump us. Do it. So Nick, you and I have co-authored some stuff together. So we have a little bit of experience in your sort of writing process, but that's evolved some since you and I worked together. Co-authoring, by the way, is something I think we should talk about. But let's start with talking about your actual writing process, man. Like, what's a writing day like for Nick Thacker?
Well, you know, the day itself changes depending on how close to a deadline I'm at. Typically, on a writing day, I'll try to get 2,500 to 3,000 words. That's a good day. That's about as much as I can do if I'm typing. Lately, I've been getting back into dictation. I kind of dabbled in it a little bit before. And I had a deadline for a 3-book traditional deal, the first book of a 3-book deal due on Monday this week. And so, you know, I let that deadline get a little close. So I had to pull about 6,000 to 7,000 words the last week or two before that book was due. And so I used a combination of dictation and typing. Now that said, that was way too much work for me. I definitely don't want to do that. Like I said, 2,500 to 3,000 words is about right.
Yeah.
Kind of the sweet spot for me. But I do write from an outline. I love my outlines because they give me the freedom to let characters do what they're going to do and have some kind of some serendipitous story elements come out. But inevitably, I get stuck when I allow that to happen for too long. And so the outline helps me get back on the track that I know will at least get me to the end.
So that's one. This is why, by the way, it was interesting for you and I to co-author something together because we were polar opposites on that sort of thing. Like I'm a pantser, you're a plotter.
Yeah,
we plotted our pants off.
It was fun too, because we both realized that while we say, I'm a diehard plotter and Kevin's a diehard pantser, we really found that we're doing some of the same constructual thing. I don't know if that's a word. I'm not a writer, so I don't know if that's a word.
You're a writer. You make up a word and it's a word.
Constructual things. We're doing some of the same things, either in our head or on paper or in Scrivener or whatever. And while we're not certainly both, middle of the road people, we're definitely opposite sides of the spectrum. We're not really that far apart. You were able to adopt using an outline that I had written. I was able to adopt to your writing kind of on the fly from this, seat of your pants and stuff. And it worked really well, I thought.
I thought so. We still need to finish that series.
We need to finish the stupid thing. Yeah.
And people have given up yelling at us about it. So I think that's a bad sign.
I think it's probably a bad sign. But that's going to be we're both going to be super famous one day and then pop out the finished one, and people will
final book
all of a sudden realize that we wrote together many, many years ago.
Thus proving that we're not actually the same person the way some people think.
I still don't think anyone's ever seen us in the same room, and online doesn't count. This could be like some deep fake sort of thing.
I mean, clearly this is just a distorted version of Nick's face.
This is, you're just my Zoom filter is all.
That's like if you squish Nick's face, this is your Zoom filter.
My Zoom filter.
So, yeah, man, I haven't even turned on. Well, I don't think we have that feature on
StreamYard. Yeah.
Prettify you to touch up appearance. So you're okay. You write in Scrivener, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yep. Is there any other software that you're using that you think authors could benefit from?
Oh man, I love software. I'm an app guru. I don't use them as well as I could, but I know about them. The ones that I use, I love Apple Notes. So I was an Evernote fan back in the day when before it kind of feature bloated all over the place. So I moved everything over to Apple Notes. That's with me everywhere. I love it because it's got all I can put my outlines, my synopses, my character sketches, everything like that. And then I also use an app called Contour, which is Mariner software, the company behind it. It's pretty out of date, but it's as far as using the software goes. But what it actually does is allow you to kind of plan out, and it's sort of an outline, get your big story elements in place according to I think it's Jeffrey Schechter, the guy that originally wrote the screenplay manual or something like that. Anyway, so they've adopted his formula and made it into a piece of software, and it's pretty helpful for me to just get the ideas out and then put them in the right order. Aside from Scrivener, Contour, and Apple Notes, there's not a whole lot that I use that I would say I have to use. But like I said, I love apps. I play with aeon timeline a little bit to keep the Harvey Bennett universe in check. It's just a linear kind of a.
You've pushed that on me, and I haven't tried that out yet.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things. It's really cool, but it's kind of a specific purpose. You write fantasy, or you just have to keep your outline or keep your chronology in line in an order. It's much easier to use a piece of software like this, but it is a very it does a lot of things that I don't need. So it's not something that I would say is a requirement for writing.
Yeah. Do you still use Persona?
That was the other one I was going to mention. Was I've used Persona before, off and on, when I've had some trouble working on character sketches. Persona is great in organizing, like allowing you to dump your thoughts into a tool that organizes it well, like what color hair does the character have, what color eyes, that kind of stuff. And just to keep track of that, I have some B characters that I could never remember what they look like. So Persona is great for that. Mm-hmm. Again, that can all be done in Apple Notes. What Persona really excels at is its particular brand or a flavor of character interactions and relationships. Persona's got all these built-in tools for character archetypes. So if you have a hero character who's I think one's like a inventor is the name of one of the archetypes. It'll tell you how that inventor archetype lines up with another maybe villain or another protagonist, and how they clash and things like that. And I'll pull this up. I don't think I've even told you about this, Kevin. I'll pull this up on my phone. There's an
it
app.
Would not surprise me if you hadn't told things.
You can see my reflection there, but I'll try to. It's called Mythulu, and what you do is it's going the opposite direction here.
Yeah.
You have different hands. It's like cards. I think it was originally like a card game.
Okay.
And each card is an archetype, and so their website tells you it's really cool. They've got textures, relationships, habitats, traits, characters, and elements. And so combinations of those, each of those is like a deck. And so combination, so you have like 2 characters, 1 element, 1 habitat, 2 relationships would be your main character.
Oh, very cool.
So you can kind of, and they're really neat because they're very vague and creative.
Yeah.
So like this one's magician. I have for one of my characters, it's called the magician, and it says skilled at something others don't understand, more aware of death than others. So their life ambitions have narrowed to a single focus. So I find that kind of stuff helpful if I'm at the early stages of planning and I need a character that's going to kind of be outside. I don't want to write a cardboard character or something I've already written before.
Right.
So it's nice to have something like that you can go to.
Are you still doing neck shots for every death scene?
Oh yeah. Now it's almost become my own little trope. I even did it in the traditionally published book. Yeah. There's a climactic scene where one of the baddies gets shot, and the first shot goes through his neck right here. So had to do it because it's sort of a Nick Thacker.
It's a Thackerism.
It's a Thackerism.
I did it in one of my books, and I think I may have referred to it. I think I put a sound effect in that was like thack. And it was
no, I like that. That's
nice. Totally did that. You read it, you commented on it, and made fun of me. So
sure, I made fun of you. I don't know what it was. That
anytime you have a neck shot in a book, the sound effect is thack. That's
right.
So that's interesting. You brought this up, and this is something I want to talk about because a lot of authors in the indie publishing industry, you get kind of galvanized. It's like you're either self-published all the way or you're traditionally published, but you're kind of a hybrid. You've gotten a couple of traditional things going. Can you talk about that a little? You're not like contractually prevented from it, right? You can talk about it. Okay.
Well, as far as I know, I didn't read the contract. I just signed it.
Who reads contracts? We're indies.
Those, right? No, I can talk about it. Happy to. I think, I think the worst thing that can happen to authors is not just being on one side or the other of the traditional indie debate, but it's kind of vilifying the other side, right? I think trad pub authors can do that a lot of times, and indie authors can do that a lot of times. There's nothing wrong with either side, right? I think it's just a matter of when is the right time to do a certain thing, when it lines up with your career. And for me, it always made more sense to go the indie route. Because I wanted to have some of that control. I wanted to maintain, creative freedom, and I wanted to maintain the ability to publish fast.
Yeah.
And it ended up making a decent amount of money for me, so I stuck with it. But I never said I'm never going to do a traditionally published book, because there's always a number, right? There's always something somebody can come with and say, here's a contract, and we want to write. We want you to write a book. So I got hooked up with Book Couture, which is in the UK. Someone reached out, had read my Harvey Bennett series, and wanted to do a brand new series with a new character, Jack Reacher type thing. And the contract was great. There was no money up front, but they have a much higher royalty rate, like significantly 3 times higher than what most deals are.
Yeah.
And they I was doing some research, doing due diligence, and they seem to really understand where books are going.
Yeah.
And so therefore how to promote them and how to market them, and their sales are doing really well. So I just saw it as 3 more books to write.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I just write the first draft essentially and second draft and send it out to them. And we go from there. And so it's a lot of fun actually to work with a team, have people who are on my side. They want the book to succeed as much as I do because they're invested in it now. And so it's a different game than indie, but it's also, at the end of the day, it's still just writing books. Which is what we're all here for, right?
Yeah, theoretically, that is what we're here for. And I like that. Now you have kindly referred me in their direction, and there's been some interest, so that's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up. I had a traditional contract years ago, and it was a bad experience. So this is already much better than that. So
yeah, and this isn't really my first foray. I've never done a through and through traditional contract like this, but I have been hybrid for a while. Back in the day when Kindle Worlds was around, when A.G. Riddle launched his world, Amazon asked him for some author names, and he gave him 3, and I was one of them. Yeah. To kind of seed that universe with them, and they sent me a contract and they gave me a commission instead of an advance. So I didn't have to earn that back or anything. But then I got a royalty rate that was a little higher, and it was fun. That was kind of my first traditional deal, and it was with Amazon, which is how I publish now anyway. So
yeah, I would be a poor D2D marketer if I didn't say at this point that now that Kindle World is gone, D2D shared universes has arisen. So it's out there. I think it's still more or less a beta kind of thing, but you know, if you guys are interested, go ping support. They love it when I send them there on random errors. So errands rather. Errors too.
Errors, like that.
So you brought up marketing. That was your mistake. So now we're going to talk about marketing.
Let's do it.
And you are like me. I mean, we're both kind of marketers from way back.
Right.
You know, we do all kinds of crazy stuff. You're a little better at the sort of advertising and marketing side of things than I am, mostly because you're more patient about it than I am. So why don't you talk about how are you currently marketing your books?
Well, as most people know, I'm exclusive to Amazon for my indie work because I've been there before and it paid more than going wide, and so I stuck with it. Which means that my books do really well when I advertise on Amazon. So I'm doing mostly Amazon marketing or AMS ads, as they call them. I do have 2 accounts. I have a publisher account and a personal author account, and that's a whole big cluster. It's a big mess, but essentially I'm doing Amazon marketing right there on their platform, and that's the vast majority of what I do. Probably 90% of my ads are Amazon right now. Now, I've done a lot of Facebook ads as well to different levels of success. I think they still work for me. They're just a little bit more expensive for me than Amazon ads. But I do use Facebook ads for list generation, things like that. Tends to work pretty well. Those are the 2 big ones right now. BookBub, I've played with. I usually will do a big kind of promotion each month of a backlist book. And BookBub is great for that, to drop a book in price and then run some ads directly through BookBub.
Yeah.
The platform.
Yeah. Let's talk about email marketing. And now this is where things get fun because you and I happen to be co-founders. And mostly, when I say co-founders, I mean mostly that Nick did all the work and I helped with things like, we should call it this. or I wrote a few lines in a text message, and then Nick went and turned it into an entire business. So how, you know, as far as like how authors should use it, we'll start with the easier stuff and say, how should authors be using email in their marketing?
Well, I think they should be using email in their marketing. That's probably how.
Yeah. Step 1, use it.
Step 1, use it. Step 2, profit. That's a big question. It's a big answer, I should say, because there's not one way to use email marketing. I think the core tenets of email marketing haven't really changed over time, whether you're internet marketing or selling books or doing something different. But it's adding value to people's lives. That's the goal. That's what you're doing. Yeah. I think a lot of corporations right now in this pandemic we're in can take some hints from me and Kevin, because they're not adding value to people's lives by saying, "Hey, COVID-19 is really bad, and we're with you all the way. Why don't you buy a plane ticket?
Buy a Toyota. Buy a plane ticket. Buy a plane ticket.
Buy a plane ticket. Spread it around. Spread the love.
Buy this resort vacation package because times are hard.
Times are hard. We're with you all the way.
I agree with you. You know, my theory, by the way, is that the whole self-publishing industry embraced email. We borrowed a lot from the sort of internet marketer group, but we've evolved a lot of things ourselves. And I think that if corporations did the things that indie authors do in their emails, they would be completely safe at this point. Like I think they'd be completely secure with the budgets they can throw at stuff.
Well, and you think about why, a corporation has always done this, what Seth Godin calls permission marketing is what you should be doing. And the wide, I can't remember what he gives it a name, but marketing through mass media, radio, television, now email, they're doing it this way. Yeah. They're basically just sending updates and sending information and doing sales and things like that. And we don't have that luxury as authors because we don't have that many people on our list. So we can't see them as numbers. We can't see our readers as just another number like corporations do.
Yeah.
And so when we send an email out, we're sending something, a piece of us goes into that email, or should, and that reader is sending back a piece of them. And so there's this connection that's being made, this relationship that's being built. And it's really easy to F that up and destroy it. It's really easy to lose that relationship. And so that's why I think we've evolved this. Sure, it comes down to money, but at the end of the day, we found that it's far more successful and far better for us in the long run to treat people with some dignity and respect and actually build a relationship that's real rather than just, hey, I'm not going to say anything to you until I want you to buy something from me. Which is how everyone else in the world has done it.
Yeah. It's that cultivating that relationship. So for that, so years ago, I think it was 2015, right?
2015. Yep.
I think you and I had done some sniffing around to see if you could reduce your overhead for email. And then we kind of got the bright idea we might turn it into something. And then 5 years later, we actually did turn it into something after sending what was it? Like nearly 13 million emails.
About almost 13 million emails through.
And that's largely me and you.
Most of it through those early years were definitely just me and you.
Yeah. So let's talk about author email. So I'm going to let you break down what it is and how it's set up, since you're the guest.
Sure. I'd love to. Author email is kind of what it sounds like. It's just email for authors exclusively. And that's email marketing specifically. So this is a MailChimp, MailerLite, ConvertKit, all the things you've heard of, but for authors. There's a lot of technical reasons why this has been really difficult to build. Namely, the reputation and deliverability needs to be built slowly over time. And that's why it took 5 years to really roll this thing out and get it to the point where we can say this is kind of an open beta, but it's pretty much we're good to go. We're fixing some bugs and things here and there, but we've been on the system, you and I, Kevin, for 5-6 years now, and we've had a few authors that have been with us for 4 or 5 years as well, that are still hanging in there. So that's what it is. So you got the link up there. You got to get started thing. Because of that deliverability and reputation thing that I just mentioned, the get started page that you see there is a waiting list. We have to roll people out, slower than just opening the floodgates and letting 1,000 people join tomorrow. Mainly because those IP addresses that are sending those servers, sending your emails, need to know that you're a real person. Right. Need to know that you're an author, that you're not going to spam, things like that. So
So it's for your benefit.
It's for your benefit as an author to let us roll you out slowly. But that said, it's not slow. You can usually get in at this point. It's about a week.
Up
and running.
Unless we don't like you, and then it's going to be 9 months.
Yeah, unless you're not an author.
Some money under the table.
Right. But the benefit thing, or the main benefit of this is it's actually affordable. In my opinion, there's no reason to spend $300 a month at MailChimp, which is where you and I would have been 2 years ago. I don't even know where we'd be now, but we do the same things that MailChimp can do. We do the same things that ActiveCampaign and ConvertKit can do for about $10 a month.
Yeah.
If you're starting out.
Yeah. We actually have, here, I'm on the site. Hopefully you guys are seeing that. So this is a nifty little tool. You can come and put in your,
it works.
Yeah, it works. Come and put in your, about the number of subscribers you have, and you'll get to see a comparison. MailChimp is funny because they give you free up to a certain point, but then they don't give you all the features. But if you just, suddenly go to, 3,000 or so, suddenly it's costing you $50 a month versus $10.99 a month. So
I need to get that updated. I'm pretty sure those prices are accurate, but they may not be. But the point is, author email prices
are close,
accurate, and you can see, you're saving a lot of money by using something that is built specifically for authors. Yeah, gets rid of anything that authors are never going to use, and builds in the features that we think will be useful. Yeah,
it's a huge conflict of interest on my part to promote this since I'm a part of it, but whatever.
Who else is going to promote it if we don't, right?
Who else? Yeah, exactly right. And also, one of the things that, this, we've talked about this from the beginning that because there's so many predatory services out there aimed at authors, and email services seem to be one of them. They're not specifically aiming at authors. Usually they're aiming at, everyone who needs email marketing. But man, the stuff just gets outrageous, and the things that they want to charge you, and the features that you get at different levels or whatever. But this is a full featured thing. I love it. That's my favorite part of it, is that we built it specifically for authors.
We built it for us.
We built it for us, but we're authors.
And when it worked, we thought, holy crap, this could actually be really helpful for other authors. Let's kind of package this up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy. It's been hell getting it built, and working and all that. But now that we're there, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool tool to be able to have and show and say, hey, world, we made this for us.
Yeah.
Let's go use it.
Yeah. And then because we made it for us, though, we of course always want to make money on things like this, but if we never made another dime on it, it still saved us thousands and thousands of dollars.
Probably saved it $100,000 over,
easily. The number at 12. I mean, let's just figure out what 13 million emails would have cost. We should do that.
We should try to figure that out.
Do that. And because we did that, we have a good reputation score with all the various internet service providers or email service providers. And so we, things get through. And you do fancy stuff behind the scenes that I don't even want to get into. Making sure
maintenance involved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. That whole thing, like you did this. So I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't fully understand it. We don't have to go into all the details of it, but you've got it set up so that that if certain service tends to bounce Yahoo email addresses, this other service doesn't. So you've got it all programmed so that it goes to the right. So, we've got multiple systems that handle all that stuff.
It's dynamic, and most of it happens on the fly, but there's little tweaks in there that we can do like that. So make sure if you're delivering the Yahoo email addresses, they're going to get through. They're going to get to the people that you want them to get to.
Well, let's talk about, because since we brought up email, and email is such an important part of author marketing, you talked a little bit about, using like Facebook ads to help with list building. What are some other ways that authors can build up their mailing list? Because here's the thing. Every author gets told you should have a mailing list. It's the most important thing. Build your mailing list, build. But hardly anyone ever tells them how to actually build it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. My list was built. I've got about 70,000 subscribers now, and it's a good list. I've got a good open rate, good deliverability. Good click rate. I built mine. The vast majority of them, of my subscribers, were early on from Facebook ads. I would actually pay, I think it was like a quarter for each lead, each actual subscriber. So these days it's more like 25 cents per click. So things got about 4 times more expensive than they have been in the past. But to me, that's still affordable, especially if you're just starting out and you want to get a list pretty quickly.
Right.
It's not a bad way to do it. And what I'm talking about, if anyone's kind of confused, is literally just building Facebook ads or traffic ads that go to your website where you have a freebie page. And my freebie page has always been, for the most part, always been the same. It's just 3 free full-length books. I'm not giving away a chapter. I'm giving away 3 books. So that if you don't know if you don't know after three of my books whether or not you like me, you didn't read them. Was kind of my thing. Was you're going to know right away that that you're going to either like me or not. And so that gets people in the door onto the list. Other than that, there are still some free ways to build a list. And the biggest one is probably just newsletter swaps. I'm just going to make a category called newsletter swaps. But I'm including things like category like like book funnel. Insta freebie was sort of the original, the OG there. But book funnel sort of taken over as my favorite for sure. Because even though BookFunnel isn't free technically, the newsletter swaps are. You get in there and you can interact with other authors that are doing a swap in your genre, and you're literally just trading emails. You're just sending out something to your list and getting some subscribers from someone else's. After a while, that starts to get the muddies the waters a little bit because everyone's sharing the same pool of subscribers. But the strategy for that I've seen most authors use is they'll do those for 6 months or so. And then they'll kind of back out for 6 months, and just maybe do private swaps or Facebook ads or something else. Those have been a great tool. And if you're watching and you are unfamiliar with BookFunnel, we actually did a D2D spotlight with Damon Courtney, the founder of BookFunnel, which you can find on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/draftdigital, which I'm told actually does work, you can actually
kind of scratch through. We have a playlist there of D&D spotlights, and that was the very first D&D spotlight. So number uno, go check that out. Here we are. We're at 12:30, so we're going to open things up. I say 12:30 like that's everyone's time. It should be your time. Wherever you are in the world, it is now 12:30 p.m. So we are going to jump right into some Q&As, and we got some folks here who've asked a couple of questions. Let me scroll back through here, and we got some familiar folks in this group. So, and by the way, Luke Barnett says that our reasons for not doing the Self-Publishing Answers podcast is a lame excuse. So, thanks, Luke. He would also like, he got this wrong, but I know what he's talking about. He's like us to expand on carbuncle. It's machine helicopter, Luke. So, but thank you for that callback.
Wasn't it blue? What was it?
Blue Topaz machine helicopter.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We have got to write that. It's only been 6 years. Okay, so Luke has a serious question. He says, can you run through in brief the different author levels and what is done in each stage? And I think this is referring to one of your recent books. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull that up just so I can make sure I get it all right. I'll do a real quick one if that's okay. If we have time for that, Kevin.
Do it.
So I wrote a book.
If you bring it up, you can share it. I'll post it up. If you share it.
If I share it, let me see. I can send you the. I can text you.
You should be able to share, right? They don't give you the share screen.
Let me see. I was back.
Don't worry about it. You talk.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I'm not going to share screen.
Okay, no problem.
But I will. It's called. Well, I'll just tell you. I have 2 books now in this series. The Indie Author Mastery series. And the first one is called Platform Mastery. This is sort of a rework of a book I wrote a long time ago called Welcome Home. Yeah. But it is, by the time I got to the end of it, it's essentially a new thing with brand new content. And so what I actually did in Platform Mastery was built this system of levels, is essentially what I'm calling it. And these are my levels. These are just the ones I've made up. So it's not as though you should take this with, any like law or anything like that. But these 8 levels are essentially designed to help you as an author figure out which level you're on by recognizing what elements go into each level, and then, of course, how to get to the next level if you want to do that. It's also helpful because there's authors who may not want to be on another level, or they may not want to do what it takes to be at the next level. That's fine. So just real quickly, to go through these 8 levels for Luke, level 1 is kind of what you'd imagine. It's just having a book. But it's having a book for sale. So this isn't just I wrote a book once and it's in a drawer somewhere. Level 1 authors are someone who's recognized that I can seriously do this and make some money. I've got a book out; it's available online somewhere, or hardcover, print cover, whatever, print version. That's level 1. Level 2 is you've got your book in one format, and so now you're focusing on other formats. You're going wide, whether you're with Amazon. Whether you're wide or with Amazon, in order to reach level 2, you've got your book in multiple formats. So ebooks, paperback, that kind of thing. And this is also the time where you're going to do direct sales on your own website, things like that. Sorry, I'm burning through these. Level 3 is what I call going wide. And this isn't necessarily saying, you go through Draft to Digital and now your books are available everywhere, or you do it individually with each store. I'm calling it going wide, meaning they're available in as many markets as possible. Meaning like there are hardcover versions available at Barnes & Noble. There's an ebook available at Amazon. There's an audiobook available through Audible. That's wide in the sense I'm using it. Okay, almost halfway. Level 4 is the special editions level, which is you got all the same content, but now you're looking at how do you make more money from each piece of content. So if you've got a book out, it's available everywhere possible, and it's in all the different formats. Now you look at special editions. So if you have a hardcover version, this is the signed hardcover version. Or if you've already got a signed hardcover version, this is the signed hardcover gold-plated version that you wrap in delicate, I don't know, and sell it on your website. This is where you start to build those relationships with your hardcore fans and readers. Level 5 then is what I call kind of the corporate level, and it's it's like where you're just looking at the same content that you've written, and you'll notice a trend here. What I'm talking about at this level, all these levels, is not necessarily writing more books or writing faster or writing better. It's taking what you've already got and using that to make more money or to get to the next level, or both. So this corporate level is where you're taking all those things you already have and bundling them together at a different price, at a special price point. So bundles, add-ons, these are all part of level 5. Level 6 is a lot of fun because this is the level where you are figuring out ways to develop different products out of your books. So things that have nothing to do with traditional books. Baby Yoda comes to mind. If you come up with like a Baby Yoda doll for your series and people buy the Baby Yoda doll, you're making money off your series, but it's not a book, right? You don't have to write something new to do that. I did this with Sonata and Scribe. So this is where, I would write a custom soundtrack for someone else's book series and they would sell that as a CD. That's a level 6 kind of tactic. Level 7 is when people are paying you for your time to just come speak, to talk about your success, to maybe offer personal access to people, to readers, to other authors, whatever. I'm trying to do this later this year if we can actually meet in person ever again, where I want to actually have like a weekend where someone can pay money, come out and hang out with me. We'll maybe write an outline together for their book, and we'll just drink beer at my favorite beer breweries. It sounds weird sometimes, but there are people who would pay for that, and that's a level 7 goal. And then finally, last one, level 8 is all of the above, except you are now leading a team of people to do those things for you. So rather than going to speak as a keynote speaker and setting it all up yourself, you are just going to speak as a keynote speaker and everything else is handled by your team. Instead of building that Baby Yoda doll and selling the Baby Yoda doll, you're writing the next book and speaking as a keynote speaker while your team creates the Baby Yoda doll and figures out how to sell it on your website. So that's the last level that I came up with, which is this leadership management level where you're still doing all the things, but you have help now in order to do them well.
Excellent.
Okay, that was it. So that's really, really fast through all 8 levels. That's all detailed in the first book in that series, which is Platform Mastery.
And I'm sorry, we had a little glitch. So could you start that list over?
Yes. So
no. So okay, next question quickly. Now Sam actually asked this question, and it was answered in the chat by Luke Barnett. So thanks, Luke. But she would like, I think it would be beneficial for you to list out some of that software you mentioned earlier that writers might be able to benefit from.
Scrivener was the first one we talked about. It's pretty obvious. I think people have heard of that. That's just the writing tool that most people use. A lot of people use.
Right.
I use Apple Notes for all my note taking. It's just easy, and it can accept any kind of format of document. The other one we talked about was Contour. That's from Mariner software.
Yep.
And then another piece of Mariner software, another app, is Persona, which is the character development and archetypal relationships. And then lastly, I mentioned Aeon Timeline. Am I saying that right? It's AEON.
I always say Aeon. I have no idea.
Aeon. Yeah, I don't know how to say that little whatever that thing is, like fairy, that word. Same thing, the A and the E. Aeon Timeline is a chronological, just a way to organize an actual events on a calendar, either real or fictional.
Real and or fictional.
Real and or fictional.
All right. So, and that's those are great pieces of software. I use a lot of those. I started using Persona mostly when I'm doing stuff with you or someone else.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'll invent the characterization happens as I go kind of thing.
It does for me too. And that was why I started using it, because now I can go back and it's like a wiki, right? I can keep it all organized. Oh, I gave him blue eyes in this book. Let's maybe not change that.
Luke had,
yeah.
He latched onto our D2D shared universes topic earlier. So if you are an author with a universe that was in Kindle Worlds, you can reach out to us, hit up support at D2D, and we might be able to set something up for you. This is a question though, and I have some information about this too, but I think he's asking you specifically, have sales slowed down with the quarantine?
For me personally, they haven't yet. Now, that said, I also kind of had a lot of things align really well for me promotion-wise before this all happened.
Yep.
Before everything shut down and lockdowns and all that. Specifically, I had a book BookBub ad or a BookBub featured deal right at the end of March for the first book in my Harvey Bennett series. So right away, it's the first book in a series, which typically does well. I've had a BookBub feature deal for this book already in the past. I know it does pretty well. And the book happened to be about a virus that knocks out some of the U.S. population. And the hero's got to run around and figure out how to save it and solve it. So it was really, I mean, again, I couldn't have planned it better myself. But they accepted it long before any of this quarantine was going on.
Yeah. It's funny because I wrote a book called Social Distancing, How to Be an Author. And that one's selling like crazy right now.
It's doing well. It's doing well.
Go ahead. Yeah, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, my main character, COVID-19, is I have no idea why it's been doing so well, but
it's too soon.
Do you remember that? No, I'm not going to mention that. Kevin talked me off the ledge one time for.
No, I don't want you to bring it up because we'll have 1,000 authors saying, "What's wrong with that idea?" I'm going to do that.
Understand. Yeah. No. So I had a promotion, and a bunch of promotions happened at the same time. I was doing some things with Amazon ads, Audible, ACX. They just changed their policy on promo codes, but before that happened, I was doing a lot of promo code stuff. So my sales have been pretty steady. That scares me a little bit because they should have gone way up doing all these promo things, and they haven't. But they're also not down, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
So I think every author is going to be a little bit different here, too.
I think in general, just from D2D standpoint, ebook sales have really been up across the board. Every retailer, maybe not every author. I mean, don't yell at me or D2D if your sales haven't been up, but in sort of across the board in general, sales have been up. We got one last question, and then we're going to wrap things up, man. But this is from Nick, and from Troy. I specifically said in my brain, don't say Nick. This is from Troy for Nick.
Tory,
how long have you been writing? Just curious.
From Tory Element.
Tory. Did I say Troy? I did that too.
No,
don't call him Troy because that's not his name.
I didn't hear it. I heard Tory every time.
Okay, Tory, I apologize.
No, that's a good question. I have been writing full time since 2017, but I've been writing fiction and building the universe up from about, I guess the first book I wrote was in 2011. And I did it for my dad. It was a gift. I thought, well, how hard can this book thing be? I was woefully underprepared for what I got myself into. So I jumped in head first and did it and finished it. And in doing that, I had all these other ideas for other books. So I just kept writing them. And 2011, 2012, I think 2014 was the next one I published. And that was The Enigma Strain. And that was the one that started to be a little more successful than the other two. So I made that a series, and things went well from there. So that's about, 9 years, almost 10 years now.
Yeah, that's quite a while.
Well, it's not
that's a long, healthy career.
It's not as long as some people I know.
No, we're not here to talk about other people. We're here to talk about you. And speaking, I'm glad we got a chance to talk about you, actually. So thanks so much for being a part of this whole thing. I know, everything's crazy right now. Schedules are weird. All kinds of stuff is happening, but I appreciate you being on.
It's not nice that it's happening. It's for us full-time guys that get to live in our basement all the time and write books. And
nothing really changed for me.
We just got busier, because everyone's like, well, I guess we'll all just work now.
I mean, I kind of ventured out a few days ago, and I'm talking to somebody, and they're like, and I'm like, oh man, I've been locked in my house for the past 3 weeks, and they're, oh yeah, this whole social isolation thing. I'm like, social what now?
Yeah, what's happening? I don't watch the news,
so there's a pandemic going on. But thanks to Nick for being a part of all this. Man, I appreciate it. Everyone watching out there, wherever you're watching, especially if you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button so that you can continue to be a part of this. Follow us on Facebook. Here's some URLs for your perusal. YouTube.com/draftedigital will take you to our YouTube channel. We really like subscribers, so please do that. Facebook.com/draftedigital. Who could have seen those URLs coming? But go check that out. Follow us. You'll find out about more of these. We're doing one of these a day over the rest of the summer. That's the plan. But if you go to YouTube, you'll actually be able to catch up on the back episodes. We got lots of them. We've been doing this for at least 3 weeks now. So lots of episodes, and we got a new one every day at noon Central. right here on wherever you're tuned in. So make sure you check that out. And for our good friend Nick here, we've got, make sure you pop on over to nickthacker.com, buy all his books, keep him fed during the pandemic.
I don't have a Baby Yoda on my website, but I got some other fun stuff. So
yeah, we're gonna find our special Baby Yoda, Nick.
I got a baby Harvey Bennett you can buy.
A baby Bennett.
I wish. A little plush
baby Kotler. That's what I got to come up with.
Little action figures would be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. Make sure you bookmark d2dlive.com to get a little countdown for each of these each day. We appreciate you sticking around through the whole thing, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.